Well, earlier I was talking about a return on your investment, maximizing your returns. That phrase, it's a financial term. And as I told you, I don't really know much about finances, economy, economics, stock market, all of that thing. I'm not really good at all of that. Some of you may be. Some of you may understand how the stock market works. Some of you might not, like me. Some of you might not care. Some of you may care. But I posted for news this week, I posted a video that it's a TED Ed, and TED Ed, TED Talks. TED Ed are these quick little 5-minute YouTube videos that I really like because they explain some things that we should know. Okay, the stock market, whether you like it or not or know about it, it exists. It is something that is there. It is something that's not going away anytime soon. And, in that case, those kinds of things we should know a little bit about. So I figured one way is to start with this video. It's a very short 5-minute quick explanation of how the stock market works. It's kind of an economic lesson. If you're not into finances and in economy, it's okay because you can just use this as a tool for English study, which is what all of these things are anyway. So just keep that in mind. Anything you're not interested in that I talk about on here, just remember it's just English study. You don't have to be interested in it. So if you're not interested in the stock market, well, just stay tuned and listen for the English. Try to learn some new phrases, new vocabulary. But if you are interested in the stock market, well, you might learn something here too. It's a pretty good explanation. They keep it real simple. So let's listen to it. This is an explanation about how the stock market really works.
In the 1600s, the Dutch East India Company employed hundreds of ships to trade gold, porcelain, spices, and silks around the globe. But running this massive operation wasn't cheap. In order to fund their expensive voyages, the company turned to private citizens, individuals who could invest money to support the trip in exchange for a share of the ship's profits. This practice allowed the company to afford even grander voyages, increasing profits for both themselves and their savvy investors. Selling these shares in coffee houses and shipping ports across the continent, the Dutch East India Company unknowingly invented the world's first stock market. Since then, companies have been collecting funds from willing investors to support all kinds of businesses. And today, the stock market has schools, careers, and even whole television channels dedicated to understanding it. But the modern stock market is significantly more complicated than its original incarnation. So how do companies and investors use the market today? Let's imagine a new coffee company that decides to launch on the market. First, the company will advertise itself to big investors. If they think the company is a good idea, they get the first crack at investing and then sponsor the company's initial public offering, or IPO. This launches the company onto the official public market, where any company or individual who believes the business could be profitable might buy a stock. Buying stocks makes those investors partial owners in the business. Their investment helps the company to grow, and as it becomes more successful, more buyers may see potential and start buying stocks. As demand for those stocks increases, so does their price, increasing the cost for prospective buyers and raising the value of the company's stocks people already own. For the company, this increased interest helps fund new initiatives and also boosts its overall market value by showing how many people are willing to invest in their idea. However, if for some reason a company starts to seem less profitable, the reverse can also happen. If investors think their stock value is going to decline, they'll sell their stocks with the hopes of making a profit before the company loses more value. As stocks are sold and demand for the stock goes down, the stock price falls, and with it, the company's market value. This can leave investors with big losses, unless the company starts to look profitable again. This seesaw of supply and demand is influenced by many factors. Companies are under the unavoidable influence of market forces, such as the fluctuating price of materials, changes in production technology, and the shifting costs of labor. Investors may be worried about changes in leadership, bad publicity, or larger factors like new laws and trade policies. And of course, plenty of investors are simply ready to sell valuable stocks and pursue personal interests. All these variables cause day-to-day noise in the market, which can make companies appear more or less successful. And in the stock market, appearing to lose value often leads to losing investors, and in turn, losing actual value. Human confidence in the market has the power to trigger everything from economic booms to financial crises. And this difficult-to-track variable is why most professionals promote reliable long-term investing over trying to make quick cash. However, experts are constantly building tools in efforts to increase their chances of success in this highly unpredictable system. But the stock market is not just for the rich and powerful. With the dawn of the internet, everyday investors can buy stocks in many of the exact same ways a large investor would. And as more people educate themselves about this complex system, they too can trade stocks, support the businesses they believe in, and pursue their financial goals. The first step is getting invested.
All right, well, useful stuff, useful. If you want to start investing, you should probably do a little more research. That video is just 5 minutes long. It's not enough for you to start investing money with that. Okay, do some more studying first. But it's useful. It's a good introduction to the whole thing. Well, let's get into English time. It's time to study some English. As I said, get out your paper, get out your pencil, your notebook, your phone, whatever you take notes on. Unless you're driving or something, don't do that. Maybe you can do that later. But let's study English.
It's all out of my control. It's all out of my control. It's all out of my control. And it's all out of my control. And it's all
All right, well, if you have listened to the podcast this far, then I can say to you, hey, way to go. Way to go. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, that is the English phrase for this week, way to go. Okay, it's a very, very common phrase in English. Many of my students, Korean students, they always ask me, teacher, how do you say fighting in English? And I say fighting, right? They don't like my joke. Fighting sounds like English. A lot of Koreans think it's English. It's Konglish, okay? Let me just tell you, it's Konglish. Be careful saying fighting, okay? Some people get angry. Someone might think you're trying to fight them. If you say to a native English speaker, hey, fighting, then be careful. They might punch you in the face because they're going to think that you want to fight. It's not English. We don't say that. We don't have anything similar to that in English. Okay, so it sounds very strange. The first time I heard someone say fighting, I was confused. So be careful with that phrase. So many students ask me how to say that in English, right? So let me tell you how to say it. There's no exact translation, all right? But one phrase that we use, it's very similar to this, is way to go. Way to go. Okay, it's just a phrase that we use to encourage someone, right? Encouragement, giving encouragement when you want to help them, which is really what fighting means, right? You're trying to encourage them to keep doing good work, right? So it literally means, way to go literally means good job, right? But we use it similar to how Koreans say fighting, fighting. Okay, it's used as a way to encourage someone who's trying hard. Okay, if someone's doing their best, they're trying really hard, you see that, you want to lift them up, encourage them, make them feel better, then you can say, hey, way to go, man. Way to go. You're doing a good job. Okay, you can always just say good job too. Hey, good job. Keep up the good work. Keep it up. All of those phrases are also fine. Okay, but today we're looking at way to go. So if your son, let's say your son, if you have a son, just for example, your son did a good job on his English test, and you can say, hey, way to go, son. It just means you did a good job. Way to go. I'm happy. I'm proud of you. You're doing your best. I'm thankful that you're doing so hard, working hard. So good job. Way to go. Okay. Or If your son hasn't taken the test yet, but he's studying hard, he's getting ready to take the test, it's coming soon, you can still say, way to go. Okay, in that case, it just means, it doesn't mean good job because he didn't do the test yet, but it means keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. That's another phrase you might want to remember. Keep up the good work. You can do it. You can do it. Koreans always say cheer up too. Cheer up. That's kind of Konglish too. We don't really say cheer up in English. If we say cheer up, it means like someone who's sad and you want them to be happy. That's cheer up. But we don't say cheer up to mean fighting. In that case, you could say you can do it, or keep up the good work, or way to go. Way to go. You're doing great. You're doing great. That's what that means. Okay? We also often say it more specifically by replacing go with some specific verb. Okay? So you can take off go, way to go. You can say way to, and then put a specific verb in there if you want to be more specific, more exact. Okay, so in the example that I mentioned, if your son is studying for his test, you can say way to go, or you can say, hey, way to study. Way to study, son. Or way to be a good student. Way to be a good student. Way to be a hard worker. Way to be, if you want to put a noun in there, you say way to be and then noun, or verb way to study. Way to do your best. Okay, anything like that you can say. Or just way to go. That's fine too. Okay, and one more thing you need to know, and this is very important, as we often do in English, this phrase is often used sarcastically. Do you know sarcasm? Sarcasm is a kind of humor that we use a lot in America, England. When you say something, but you actually mean the opposite. Okay, you say something nice, but you really are saying something mean, something not nice. You're actually criticizing someone. Okay, so that's something you need to be aware of. Sometimes we use this phrase often, sometimes more often, we use this phrase as a way to make a point that someone is not doing a good job. Does that make sense? It's kind of difficult to understand if you're not a native speaker, right? So if your son fails the test, for example, let's say your son took that test, he failed it, he got an F minus, okay, then you could say, way to go, son. With that tone, the voice tone is important. Oh, way to go, son. Is that encouraging? No. What this means, this is a sarcastic way to say, you blew it. You did a terrible job. You failed. Okay? Of course, probably you shouldn't do this to your son. That's not nice. It's not nice to, he probably won't try harder if you do that. So I'm just using this as an example about English, not about parenthood. Okay? So if you're a parent, don't do what I'm saying here, but I'm just saying, if someone says like that, oh, way to go, that means with that voice tone, they're saying you did a bad job. Okay, so it can be used as an encouragement. If you say, hey, way to go, that's a good meaning. That means, hey, good job. Or if you say, oh, way to go, that tone means you messed up. You did a bad job. Does that make sense? So it's actually the opposite of encouragement. It means you're disappointed. Okay, this is quite difficult, I understand, but you got to do a lot of listening. You'll hear it in movies, you'll hear it in dramas, this kind of sarcastic way, probably more than the original meaning of encouragement. You'll hear the sarcastic one more often if you watch movies, dramas, things like that, because we use it quite often in that way, using it sarcastically. Okay, so let me give you some more examples. I'll give you both ways, some examples of both ways. So first of all, let's say a boss. Your boss says to an employee, maybe it's you, the boss would say, because of you, we made the huge sale. We got a huge sale out of that deal that you did. So way to work hard and do your best. Way to go, or way to work hard and do your best. This is a genuine compliment. The boss is happy. If you hear that from your boss, then you can go have a celebration because you did a good job, right? Or if a teacher says to a student, if I said to my student maybe, hey, great job on your test. Way to go. Way to be prepared. Way to be prepared. Way to go. You did a good job. You studied hard. I can tell it paid off. You got an A plus. Way to go. Okay, those are all good things. A wife might say to her husband, hey, wow, you made a lot of money this month. Way to go. Now I can spend it all. Now I can spend it all. Okay, this is still an encouraging thing, even though maybe she has a selfish motive behind this compliment. But she's complimenting. She's saying, way to go. You made a lot of money this month. Good job. And then now she's going to take it all. She's going to spend it. She's going to go shopping, right? Maybe. I don't know. That may be you, maybe not. But anyway, way to go. It's an encouraging thing. Okay, now let's look at some sarcastic ways. A teacher might say to a student, let's say the student got an F on the test, hey, way to go. You just got an F, so you get to take summer school. You're going to take summer semester now. Way to go. You got an F. Now, that is not an encouraging way to go. Probably not a good teacher either if they say that. But I've had teachers say that before, when a student did bad, when I've done poorly on a test or something. I've had a teacher say like, oh, way to go. Now you're going to have to come to summer school. Good job. You earned it. That's not really saying good job. That's the opposite. She's saying you did a bad job. You did a bad job. It's trying to discourage. Okay, and as I said, it's not really a good thing, but people do it a lot. How about this? A friend might say to a friend sarcastically, hey, way to go, man. You tried to get that girl's number and she totally ignored you, right? You're at the club, you go up, you meet your friend goes out and tries to meet this girl. She ignores him. You come back. You know how sometimes guys, we like to tease each other. You can say, oh, way to go, man. You got ignored. She shot you down. We say she shot you down. That means rejected you. Way to go. So in that case, it's not encouraging. I'm just trying to tease my friend a little bit. That's very common too. Guys often do that to each other. Maybe girls too, but I think guys do it a lot. Or here's another good one. A boss might say to all of the employees, hey, way to be team players, everybody. Yeah, I'm happy with how everyone is working together. Way to be team players. Okay, that means team player means everybody's working together on the team and they're doing a good job. Good teamwork. Way to be team players, everybody. I'm happy with what you're doing. If you hear that from your boss, well, you're having a good day, right? So good for you. Way to go. You made it through the whole podcast. I'm proud of you. I'm happy. As I said, go to the Podtea page and comment there, or go to my blog or wherever you listen to this and type in some sentence. Try to use way to go in a sentence. It would be useful for you so you'll remember and how to use it. All right, everybody. Well, that's it for this week's podcast. Thanks for joining. And remember, we'll be back with another one next week. So keep up with the blog and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. This audio podcast is brought to you by Mitch's 영어, an interactive online learning experience for you to learn how to speak like a native English speaker. Also brought to you by Mitch's Daily English Neighbor blog and Facebook page. Go to www.mitchinenglish.com to download Mitch's 영어 application for free today.